One of the nice things about music is that it does repeat itself and that it does have some standard progressions that you can look for. If everything was new all the time and you had to learn a new progression every time you turned around, I don't think any of us would ever become really good musicians. We become good musicians because we get used to some standard progressions and we can hear them coming and we know things to do to them. So we're comfortable with that. And I'm in favor of that. Being comfortable with what you're playing is what practicing is for. We go through it so many times that you become comfortable with it. In the first half of this minor chord connection video, we talked about how the 6 minor, the 1 to the 6 minor, was kind of a standard sound. And you get comfortable with that, you do quite well. And then we found out the 2 minor 5, or in the key of C, a song that went from C to D minor to G, was a very standard phrase in music, isn't it? It's the kind of things that songs are built around. Well, there's another one that I would have started first with, except it takes more than 1 minor. It's what we call the 1 to the 3 to the 6 progression. And that's what we're talking about here, because this kind of progression is what millions of songs are made of. They have a progression that either uses this as the theme, or this might be found at the end of the verse or at the end of the chorus, or it literally might be found at the end of several lines in the song. In fact, we'll find, if you'll cue up track number 2 on your audio track, this was in the key of C, and we're going back to the key of C to kind of make things interesting here. We find that this song, being in the key of C, goes right to the 2 minor, which is the D minor. We've used this before. But that's not what we're really after here. What we're after is the second line in this song, because it does this 1, 3 to the 6 progression. And since it happens so much, we might as well get used to how the pattern looks. And there are 2 basic patterns we want to look at. Let's look at it on the board first, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This is what we call the 1 to the 3 to the 6. And that's because this is the 1 chord, the 3 minor, the 6 minor, and it goes back to the 3, but it doesn't always go to the 3. It might go to the 5 chord here, or the 1, or back to C, or back to G. What we're interested in is not what it's called or what the names of the chords are. It's this little pattern of events that we're interested in. We're interested in the fact that it's going from 3 with pedals to 3 with the A pedal, and then to 1 with the D lever, and then back to 3 with the A pedal, or maybe 3 without, depending on what the end chord might be. The important thing is this makes a pattern. Get this little thing in your mind, what it sounds like, what it looks like. And pattern number 2 is maybe starting off with that C on the 8th fret, going up here to 8 with a D lever, because that's E minor, to 8 with the A pedal. This one's a little easier, isn't it? You don't have to move to play this one, then to the 8D. This one up here has a movement. This one here is all on 1 fret, so it might be a little easier to transpose this to another key, wouldn't it? Well, neither one of them is all that hard, because we learned something else here. There's more up here than just this. We found out also that we can throw out the minor chord, didn't we? We said that we can substitute a major chord for the minor chord, and what happens is a better chord, the minor 7th. Nothing wrong with doing that here, and many times it makes this easier to play. Let's look at line 3 for just a minute. We're going to play all these things in a minute. Line 3 says we might start with 3 with pedals because that's a C. Well, the next chord is E minor, but we found out that E minor was 3 with the A pedal. Why not just drop the A pedal off and make that a straight G, which makes that sound like E minor 7th? And there's nothing wrong with that. We're going to do that. 3 pedals to a G on 3. And then the next chord is an A minor. Well, if you drop the A pedal off of that A, 8A, we get C. So straight C will sound like A minor 7th. And then the last chord is an E minor. Let's make that E minor 7th again. Drop that A pedal off and you get G. So literally what we're saying is we can play this whole progression, the 1, 3, 6, as C, G, C, G. And it doesn't sound blah, it sounds better. Now, you can approach it 2 ways. We said you can play the right minor chord, but then you're just repeating what the rest of the band is doing. Of course, that's all right sometimes, but sometimes you want to put a little chocolate on your vanilla ice cream, don't you? That's what we're doing here. We're throwing out the minor and we're saying play the minor 7th. So just play straight C, G, C, G, and let the band do the progression, and it sounds even better. It's spicier. Now, another way we might look at it. Again, these are patterns. Number 4 is taking C off of the 8th fret. Instead of playing this minor like that, just play straight G. A G is a G, isn't it? So E minor 7th is a G there. 8 to 10 with pedals. And then let's say, why don't we just move up and play 11A and F for the C? We can do that. We're going to find this in our progression here shortly. And then we'll end it with a G there, or it might be back to anything that sounds like a G, or anything that sounds like E minor. The point is this. This is a progression you want to learn in it. It's the sound of it. Now, if you go up to page 10 in your book, we have a little exercise that'll teach us a lot about this. And here's what it looks like. The actual rhythm track is going to be talking about. Down here, it starts off in a D minor. Even though we're in the key of the C, it's going to play D minor for a long time. Well, we can make up some nice little things, and that's what page 10 is. We're going to play some little licks, some little how-rug licks thing that fit this very well. And sometimes we'll play D minor. And we also know that D minor being 13 with the A pedal or 1 with the A pedal, that's really the sound of an F, isn't it? So let's play either F or D minor. We'll see that. We'll do both. And what we're interested in is this second line and the last line, because there's our cycle of thirds. It goes the 1 to the 3 to the 6, back to the 3. Well, this is where we're going to put one of our little tricks there, and that's what you're going to see on page 11. Several different versions of that, and 12 for that matter. Then we'll come back and notice what's going to happen. D minor is an F. Well, we can play D minor or F for these. Then, if we just repeat page 10, we're going to make D minors sound like G as well. It's true, D minor is the exact sound of G7. We're going to find out a kind of a new little trick here, too. Then the last line comes in, and that's our cycle of the 1, 3, 6 again. So what we're going to have is some nice little licks for D minor, and then we're going to go through the 1, 3, 6 progression 2 or 3 times. Well, let's go to the guitar for a minute. Let's talk about this. Page 10, and cue up track number 2 as well, because that's what we're really going to be playing. On page 10 there, the top line, this is a little lick. This is actually D minor. I've got the A pedal down. That's the sound of it. And then I'm going to jump up to 4A and F and play the same lick. New little lick. We never have done this yet, but this is part of a little scale. Then let's go to the second line, up to 8 with pedals. That's a straight F too. So the first one, 1A, is D minor. The second one is pure F. The third one, 8 with pedals, is pure F again. Then let's go back to 4A and F and play a little inversion of the same lick, and you don't have to cut them off, let them all ring. Have a little fun with that. And that's going to be really the body or the main part of our little instrumental. Then go to page 11, and we'll take that cycle. Here we go, the 3 with pedals. Here's one way to that 3A. Back to 1 with the D lever. And then back to the 3. Now, we could play this several ways. It could be 3A or 3 without the A pedal. Either way, it'll work nicely because it'll either be E minor or E minor 7. So here's what the whole thing is about. It's all of page 10 and one line of page 11. This is our instrumental called Minors Are Mine. So it sounds like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now page 11. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1. Then we go back to page 10 and repeat. And then we might play the second line there on page 11. It's the same thing. Up to 8, to 8 with the D lever, to 8A. Now you have 2 choices. Each time after you get through with page 10, you're going to have to play one of those 1, 3, 6 progressions, and that's what's on page 11. But let's don't sell it short. Let's talk about page 11 again. I wrote it as strings 3, 4, and 5. Well, you don't necessarily have to play that. You might play strings 4, 5, and 6. Or you may play strings 5, 6, and 8. Different sound, isn't there? Or maybe 6, 8, and 10. Or if you want to get real far out, why not take strings 3, 5, and 8? And listen to this. This is the top line, page 11, strings 3, 5, and 8. And then drop down to maybe 4, 6, and 10. Or maybe play the whole thing as strings 4, 6, and 10. So that's some big, fat, melodic things, almost like whole orchestra things. But add that in any way you want to. Okay, let's play this thing. Track number 2, Minors Are Mine.
1, 2, 1, 2.
And go. Top line. Repeat. Second line. Page 10 again. Now, you can take those things, experiment with that. The main thing to do is to get the pattern in your mind of what that 1, 3, 6 sounds like first, then learn to play that thing so you might be able to transpose that to any key because it's a standard progression. Standard phrase, a paragraph in music that's going to happen to you many, many thousands of times. Well, there's more to it there's another way of improvising over this thing. So once you get the basic fundamental idea of what the chords are, let's throw out the minor chords now and maybe play these things another way too. Throw some in, sometimes out, and you get a whole different phrase. Let's go back to page 12 in your book. Let's go to the guitar and we'll talk about that. These are different little ways of playing the 1, 3, 6. So the top of page 12 says, let's play a straight C, and then let's play E minor 7, straight G, then a straight C for A minor, and then let's go ahead and play E minor, the 3A there. So it might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, let's take the second example. This is the last half of the top line on page 12. We might play a C on 8. Let's play a straight G, 6A and F. And that's going to sound like E minor 7. And then let's really do play 8A for the A minor, and then 8D right there. So it'll be like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Or let's do the second line there. This is kind of nice. This is the true melody of how this goes. C on 8 to the 8D, drop down, strings 5, 6, and 8, 8A, and then 8 with the D lever. Or we might want to make A minor 7th out of that. We can go 6A and F on the same strings instead of 8D. Or if you want to make that really different, maybe instead of 8D, make it G7 with a B pedal in there, 8, B and D. Or we can take the very last example, which is kind of nice, 3 with pedals to 3A. And this is the lazy man's way. Just jump up to 5 and hit strings 4 and 5 without any pedals. That's the sound of A minor. And then back to 3A. So here it is. Here's the last example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then each time we'll go back and play 10 on the front. So here we go. Minors are mine with the last 4 examples all over the place. Here we go.
1, 2, 1, 2.
Page 10. Again. Start again. Starting again. That's the easiest little exercise because it just keeps repeating the D minors. What's fun is there are probably 5 or 6 different ways to play the 1, the 3, 6, back to the 3 progression. And this is a standard thing, so you might as well learn it now. It's something we must deal with. So stop right here and find out your own little ways, the little groups that you like to hear. Everyone has their own favorite little sound or melody in there. Some of them make more sense than others. And of course, in different songs, you'll find different ways of doing it too. The main thing is to learn how to transpose this and use it in different keys. We're in the key of C now, but it's going to happen in every key you ever play in. We'll be right back and take this another step.